America's waking up to a rapidly evolving reality.
As people try to stick to those New Year's weight loss resolutions,
I've made a decision.
You've been working on your body and on your health.
No, that's Ozempic.
And now it's time for the injection, okay?
Stories and ads popping up everywhere touting diabetes drugs with a remarkable side effect, weight loss.
So far, I've lost 50 pounds.
And spawning new medications to treat obesity.
So it's a game changer.
It is a revelation. We've never had a treatment this effective that didn't involve an operation.
It is a jetpack for positive behavior change.
But there are risks.
30% of my hair has fallen out. I was so nauseous.
And all kinds of businesses jumping on board, making unregulated versions easy to access. I'm qualified. Okay, 5 questions and that's it. But what are you actually getting?
We don't have good insight into where these drugs are coming from.
For a look at how we got here,
we officially classify obesity as a disease.
And where we could be heading, we gain rare access to Ozempic maker Novo Nordisk.
How many experiments can be run here at once?
We typically can do more than 10,000 a week.
And take an intimate look at one family's journey.
Who was the first one to try a GLP-1?
He was Dad.
The guinea pig.
Is this modern medicine at its best? Or is the rush for weight loss meds spinning out of control?
Truck 4 dispatch.
In a small town outside Raleigh, North Carolina, Shannon and John Newsom run a successful towing and recovery business.
She's just doing that paperwork.
Married almost 30 years, they've dealt with several health issues, including chronic diseases, like one that was discovered through John's eyesight.
That's how we found out he had diabetes whenever he was 25 years old, is he went blind. Luckily, he got it back.
Didn't go blind, it went very blurry.
He couldn't see, yeah, okay, couldn't see.
He's ill.
Yeah.
Joking aside, the Newsoms also struggle with obesity. It runs in their families, as does heart trouble.
And that's Jonathan, and then she's over here.
By 2011, they had both undergone bariatric surgery.
I started out at 258 pounds and went down to my lowest weight was 132.
My mom knew that my weight was going to be something that I struggled with from the time that I was really little.
Faith Ann Haron is the Newsoms' 26-year-old daughter. She's a doctoral candidate at the University of Florida, studying pediatric obesity, and consults occasionally for Weight Watchers. Like her parents, she tried various diets and exercise routines before ultimately choosing bariatric surgery. She was 16.
I was between 200 and 300, I don't remember the exact weight, but it was just limiting my ability to do things that I wanted to do. I had grown up being bullied about my weight.
The difference was dramatic.
So I lost about 100 pounds. As I was losing the weight, I felt like I was coming into myself, like me and my body were no longer at war.
The Newsoms are just a few of the more than 1 billion people globally living with obesity.
The prevalence of obesity has been going up since the 80s, and it does seem to be continuing to increase for adults. So it's gone from 15% to 42%.
Dr. Virginia Chang is a professor at NYU School of Global Public Health.
And we see who develops the disease and who does not.
She understands the dangers large amounts of weight can have on the body.
It's associated with a lot of cardiovascular risk factors, hypertension or high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol.
About 10 years after surgery, John started struggling with diabetes again, and nearly a decade later, Shannon was gaining weight. By 2022, Faith Ann and her then-fiancé David were also getting heavier. Faith Ann knew bariatric surgery didn't come with a lifetime guarantee and started thinking about new medications.
It wasn't necessarily about losing weight so much as living a healthier lifestyle.
I did have to have long conversations with myself on walks about the fact that needing an additional intervention after surgery did not mean that I was a failure.
By the beginning of 2023, one medicine was on everyone's lips. Ozempic, a diabetes drug with an astonishing side effect.
Adults lost up to 14 pounds.
Since then, there's been a constant drumbeat in the news.
Ozempic.
Ozempic. And Ozempic.
And frenzied buzz on social media.
Once you hit 2 clicks, you are good to go.
And it's not just Ozempic. There's Mounjaro for diabetes and Wegovy and Zepbound to treat obesity, all promoting significant weight loss. It's estimated up to 5 million Americans are taking them, a staggering figure considering the weekly injections need refrigeration and possibly a lifetime commitment.
You're supposed to be on it for your entire life. They prescribe it with that in mind.
For Faith Ann and her parents, they were worth a shot.
Where do you give yourself the
I
shot?
give myself the shot in my stomach.
Yeah, I don't even like it.
You can hear the click. It's done.
Wow. Can you just tell me what you're on and how long you've been on?
I've been on Mounjaro since May.
Ozempic since July.
Whatever she gives me.
Yeah. He's been on, he switches. He goes between Mounjaro and Ozempic.
They're all in a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonists, which mimic naturally occurring hormones in the body.
GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide. And what it does is it helps the body regulate insulin and glucose or blood sugar, but it also helps the stomach feel full faster and longer. And it also affects appetite centers in the brain so that people have less of a drive to eat. And there are reports that it helps with what we've come to call food noise.
The way that I describe food noise is if there was just like this little bug in your ear that was constantly asking you when is the next time to eat.
Yes, the main effect on weight loss is on the brain. To do everything by hand when we started, you know.
Professor Jens Yu Hol at the University of Copenhagen has been studying and researching GLP-1 agonists since the 1990s. Back then, he was interested in treating stomach ulcers.
So basically, you're one of the guys who discovered GLP-1.
That is true, yeah.
As you're observing this weight loss industry evolve, you've been there since the beginning. What's your take?
In principle, there wasn't a market for weight-losing agents. It didn't exist, and the reason, of course, is that there wouldn't be any reimbursement. There was no government that would pay a penny for a weight-losing agent. And the pharmaceutical companies knew this, so they were not terribly interested because they knew that they could never be covered, so it was not a good idea.
Until now.
I have been on the medication now for 5 months and lost a total of 35 pounds.
I was 200 when I went on to it, and I will bounce around the 170 mark now.
So about 30 pounds as well.
I think I started around 214 and I'm at 168, so I'm roughly 50 pounds, I think.
Results like these are driving demand and pushing the projected GLP-1 market to more than $100 billion by 2030.
This could be a game changer for society.
Yes, but there's a question we haven't talked about.
Which is?
Would people take it?
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, see, if for somebody the greatest pleasure in life is to eat and drink, and you all of a sudden realize that you don't fancy that any longer. What's it like to live a life where you have taken away the greatest pleasures?
Diet Dr. Pepper doesn't taste like a Diet Dr. Pepper. A turkey sandwich don't taste like a turkey sandwich. But I went joking around with her. There's nothing left for me. You know, I don't want to say I don't want to live anymore, but you've taken everything in this life I enjoy with this drug, and it's working. My sugar is great, but you know, what cost?
But if you have a stroke and you are sitting in a wheelchair drooling and I've got to bathe you, feed you, it's really not going to be fun.
Unlike John, Shannon and Faith Ann say they have gastrointestinal trouble, a common side effect. But they're worried many who've been dealing with weight bias might ignore more severe problems from the drugs, like stomach paralysis, pancreatitis, or worse.
I think we need to balance that stigma of being praised for losing weight with making sure that we're taking these side effects seriously.
Those risks aren't slowing sales. Neither is the price tag, which can be eye-popping if insurance won't cover it. That's the case for Shannon and Faith Ann, who use the diabetes drug specifically for weight loss.
I pay for hers and I pay for mine. That's a $12,000 price tag a year. Mine's $12,000 a year. That's $24,000.
For indefinite amount of time.
Indefinite amount of time.
Could be your lifetime.
Exactly.
Like many, the Newsoms believe they may have found a miracle drug, but are still grappling with how to afford and tolerate these drugs long term. And then there are the shortages. But Ozempic maker Novo Nordisk is ramping up production and furiously working to create an even bigger blockbuster before the competition does.